talk about these challenges one by one. So the vision and strategy implementation buy-in. Why is this challenge very important? This challenge is very important because this challenge helps all the companies survive. If we don't have proper vision and strategy when implementing the agile transformation, there is high risk that the company's survival itself could be at stake. Let us see how this can be achieved with an example. So if you see the pie chart, we can see, we can see the revenue that each client is earning for the company, client A, client B, C, and other clients. So the share of client A that the company is getting revenue out of client A is 40%, client B 35%, client C 15%, and others altogether around 10%. So if we start analyzing each of the revenue factors, and then once we decide what direction the company is going to move forward in the next 5 or 10 years, as an agile coach, we should be very careful in suggesting what is the long-term plan for the company. So the client is who is contributing around 40% of the revenue to the company has no willingness for transformation of agile project into agile for any of his products or services. He wants to go in whatever traditional methodology model that he has been following so far. Client B, on the other hand, which is again a significant share of 35% revenue, has a complete willingness or is pushing the company to move towards an agile transformation. Client C is indifferent, and all other smaller accounts have a mixed reaction. Some of them want to go like in the S category, and some of them in the no category. So in this scenario, how are we gonna take it to the next level? Going forward, the company has already decided that it will move to agile, but how are we going to accommodate all the clients' requests, and how are we going to move forward with this decision?
Srini, what do you mean by indifferent?
Indifferent, they don't mind like whatever decision it's there. Is it agile implementation, agile transformation, or any other model that the company is following? The client say has no concerns. All they want is the product to work in the life. That's it. It doesn't really matter to them whether what methodology the company is following. It could be agile, it could be anything, typical project management, X, Y, Z, whatever model the company is following, they don't have any concerns. That is indifferent. Okay. And the mixed category is people, some of the smaller accounts in the mixed category, in the others category, are willing to go to agile. Some are not willing to go to agile. So if we categorize all of them together, we can see the two categories that are willing to go and not willing to go. In the others, I've taken around 2% say that are willing, and the rest of them I will consider they are not willing to go to agile transformation. So if the company takes either of the steps in one direction, it's gonna lose the customer base in the other direction. So as an agile coach, what should be our recommendation to the organization and how it's gonna take this challenge? So at organization level, they have to satisfy all the customers, whether it's agile category or it's the other models. So I would not say for any approach or any problem, there are always good number of solutions. We have to pick the one that works for the organization or in that situation and in the near future works best. So for this thing, it is always better to go in both the directions, the customers, and make them happy on both the areas. The other existing models that are being followed by the company, they should continue with that, as well as they should prepare a plan or strategy for transformation into agile, as well as these two things are anyways clear that should be done. And in the long term, it's the responsibility of the coach to prepare one more strategy that involves the migration of the other models, the accounts that are there in other models to Agile, because that could be one possibility. Down the lane, the customer has said no right now, but after 1 year or 2 years, due to some reason, he might change his mind and come back and say he is interested to move to Agile. So prepare a strategy for that. We should prepare and then give it to the organization. So if we work in this direction, we'll get the complete buy-in for the executives, and then we will not have any more challenges once we get started with the transformation. So the buy-in from the executives is very important. So the next problem that we're going to discuss is about adopting to the new organization culture. This is one of the most common and the biggest problem, because it is the biggest problem because it is across the entire organization at all levels. It's not, most people think it's like people dependent, but I would say it's people dependent partially, but more of training dependent. Let us see with an example how we can go around this problem. So the best way to go about around this is we conduct training sessions, we do mentoring, and then we do refresher trainings at frequent intervals, and then keep on increasing the intervals for the refresher trainings. How do we go about this approach? Exactly, we can use a technique called PDCA cycles. Some of you might have heard about it, some of you might not heard about it, and some of you might have been using it without actually knowing it. See, let's see how it works. The plan, do, check, and act. It is a series of steps that we do. It is not a big iteration or a long plan. It is short cycles. We repeat this entire process to keep adjusting ourselves towards the end goal. How we do it? We first plan an activity, execute for a short duration, say 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. Execute it, that is the do part, and then validate the end result. Is it according to our expectation, according to the end goal? How closely it's aligned towards the end goal? And then we act upon it. If it is close on it, we try to improve in the next cycle. If it is not close, it is away from the end goal, we try to align it towards the end goal, do the necessary adjustments in the plan, and then do one more cycle. We keep on repeating these cycles because if we consider the other models, like most people have been working in different other models, mostly the typical project management and other models, and they got accustomed to it so long. Maybe for the last 5 years they're working, last 10 years they're working, and the transformation is a big change for them. For some people who has been already started the career in Agile, it might be a small change, but for most of them it is a big change. A big change can always be implemented in smaller chunks and not in a single big bang model. So the older the habits, the older they accustom towards a process, it's the harder it is for us to break that tempo and bring them to a new model and transform them to a new model. So keep using this, have patience, keep using the PDCA cycles, continue using it, and then finally the transformation will happen. It might be short cycles, few cycles for some people, it might be a little longer for some people due to the nature of the experience they have brought to the company, but eventually everything will fall in place. But the only important thing when you're implementing the PDCA cycles are you should always keep the end goal in mind and then keep adjusting the PDCA cycles. Every cycle you should inching towards the end goal. If you are planning the PDCA cycles in that fashion, you are very much on track.
What is the typical end goal, Srini? Typical for a
A
small
typical
implementation.
end goal will be depending on PDCA cycle is the generic process implementation. So it could be anything. Okay. Let us consider, for example, take an daily example. You want to achieve a 5K run. You can't start off with a 5K run and do it on a day one. You start with maybe half a kilometer as per your my capacity. You start with half a kilometer, do it for 3 days and see how it can be done, how better we can do it, what are the other things we can do it, and then increase it to 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer every cycle. Ultimately, maybe after 1 month, we are there, we have achieved the 5K run. We'll do it 5K in a single day.
Srini, I have a question here.
Okay.
Could you set milestones? If yes, what kind of milestones could you set?
Yes, the milestones will always be the smaller milestone. The end goal milestones will be broken down into smaller milestones and you'll set along the path. Every 2 weeks, you'll set a milestone. Every 1 week, you'll set a milestone. Or every PDA cycle, every PDCA cycle setting a milestone, it might not work. I would not recommend that. Every 2 or 3 cycles, you set a smaller milestone, achieving this.
Yeah, so what would it look like, the milestone? For example, I just wanted to know.
So the same example that I was telling in the day-to-day activity, if we take the running example. So for
Okay.
3 PDCA cycles, I should be achieving the 1 kilometer stretch. And for the next 3 PDCA cycles, I would be achieving a 3 kilometer stretch. And then by end of 10 cycles, I should be achieving the 5K stretch. Something like
Okay.
that.
No,
But the
Srini,
end goal would be to achieve the transformation, right? That is the end goal.
I'm sorry,
Isn't
I'm
that the
not
end goal?
audible. I
Okay.
heard only
Is it
the end
audible
goal
now?
part.
Yeah, yeah. So the end goal would be
Yes,
to achieve the agile transformation, right?
right.
Okay. Thanks, Srini.
no, Srini, the example which you gave, that was very clear. But in the agile transformation journey, what would be
Your
one
voice is still
typical step?
breaking. I'm not able to hear properly.
Are you able to hear now?
Yes, better.
Yeah. No, in the example which you gave was very clear, but in the agile transformation journey, can you illustrate one typical step, a small step?
Okay. Uh, Let us take one example saying that uh, you have started a team who is very much new to Agile. Okay. So that team, say team of 5 members who are very much new to Agile, you start them teaching what are the Agile concept processes and how they're gonna take sprints, and you start with a 1 week sprint or 2 week sprints. So we decide that we'll go with the 2 week sprints. So when a team is newly formed and newly gone into Agile, which I'll be discussing how it transforms in various stages in the next uh, in this session going forward. So we'll discuss more about that over there. Right now, I'll give an overview. So every stage, the team will be giving so much output. Like maybe for the first 1 or 2 sprints, the team might not deliver anything. So that as a coach, you should be able to assess or judge in advance. So first 3 sprints, my goal for the team is they might not deliver anything, zero velocity, but still they should be able to implement the agile concepts or agile, say, um, meetings and all very consciously, and they should be not be able to break the rules. They should do the proper DSMs, proper daily stand-up meetings, proper planning meetings. So first three sprints would be only this one. The next 3 sprints you should say, okay, now the team has understood what are the how to do an agile sprint. Now they will give me start delivering something. So they have planned about say 10 user stories. Your goal should be at least the team should deliver 2 complete user stories by the end of 2 sprints. We're talking about a team that has been working in Agile for the first time. So give the team that time and space so that they can be part of the transformation voluntarily. Does it make sense?
Got you.
Or is it more
Yeah,
clear
got
now?
you, Srini. Yeah, got you, Srini. That is very clear. Thanks.
And
Okay.
Srini, like this agile coach, right? Like when he comes into the picture during product vision discussion, also he will be part of the discussion.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that soon. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions at this point in time?
Yes, Rini, I have one question here. So, what the example you have provided, it is very nice. What about this existing team? What is the end goal of a agile coach for the existing team if they are following already agile? Is there any role or there is no role?
You are asking what is the end goal as an agile coach?
Right.
Okay. I really like this question. So what I want is you should be answering this question by the end of this presentation. Okay. Let us continue through the presentation. At the end of the presentation, you will be in a position to answer this question yourself. If not, I'll be helping you. Okay. So we'll put all the questions towards the last 15 minutes, by which most of the questions would have been answered during the session. If any questions are still genuine questions are still existing, I'll be answering them. Sure. Okay, let's continue. What does everyone wants one thing? As a human being, we all want one thing, including myself. I want a shortcut. I want a guide that will help me act as an agile coach. Anywhere I get stuck, I want to go to a referring guide and refer it and then implement that. Don't we all want that? Yes, we want it. But unfortunately, the answer is there is no such guide. Trust me, there are a number of books, but there is no complete guide. But don't be disappointed. Something is waiting for you. There are a set of guidelines. Yes, we do have a set of guidelines which we should be implementing to arrive at a goal or to solve a problem. As an agile coach, most probably you will be getting a problem statement. You will be working on the problem statement, understanding it, and with the resources that are available within the context of the organization, you should be able to suggest a solution that works for the organization in line with its vision on the long term. That will be your goal as an agile coach. It's not you give some half-baked work here and then maybe after some time it will be. No, we are trying to give a best solution, but best solution doesn't always mean it will perfectly work in every scenario. There will be some failures. As an agile coach, as a team, we all learn and we give much better solutions next time. Always remember, don't say once I reach an agile coach, done. I will relax now. I'll start giving suggestions. My job is done. No, you should start working at all levels. And it's always a journey. It's always a learning experience. It's always a transformation. The transformation is never complete. Even though you say all my teams now in the organization are agile and they're working, still it's not complete. I will tell you why towards the end of the session. So it's not a destination, it's a journey, and you should take the journey and you should be able to go. You should be willing to go the extra mile every time it's required as an agile coach. Every time we teach everyone, we should be in such a mindset that we are not only teaching, we are learning from them. We should start learning from the team, start learning from our experiences. Like that, the team grows, we grow. That should be the mindset or the frame of mind the agile coach should be in, to take the team through the entire journey and not make it painful, but make it enjoyable for everyone, both for the coach as well as all the participants. What are the roles and responsibilities of an agile coach? So one of your question will be answered here. The coach should act on different roles. He is not alone a coach. He should be a teacher, a mentor, a coach, and a mediator. Why so many roles? It's all hidden in the JD of an agile coach. And the coach has to be able to, should be such a person who should be able to switch from each role to other in a very short span of time. I'll tell you with an example. A coach will be working at various levels in the organization, not at one level. There is a popular misconception that coaches will work at only one level. No. At the top executive level, that is maybe a CTO, CEO, or other top levels where they are board of directors, they'll be taking the decisions for the entire organization. The coach needs to work with them. He has to work at portfolio, program, product, depending on the size of the organization, the structure of the organization. At all these levels, the coach has to work. He might be required to work at the team level also, mentoring teams, guiding teams. Last but not the least, he should be ready to work at individual level to give proper support at individual level also. How and why does a coach should work at all levels? It is required. Let me tell you with an example. Suppose you or me as an agile coach, we are sitting with a team member, explaining them how to use a tool, some tool, and a scrum master. At that time, your role is a teacher. You are talking to the other member, helping them understand the tool and use the tool in a better, more efficient way. A scrum master approaches you and says, "Hi coach, I'm having a problem with such a team. This is the problem. Help me out." Immediately you should switch your role. Switch your role to a mentor. Help the scrum master understand the problem, analyze the problem, and then you should not give a solution to the scrum master. You should help the scrum master arrive at a solution. That is about mentorship. A company will not have one or teams, two teams. They might be having few more teams. The other end of the organization, the other end of the floor, one more team is celebrating. They've completed a sprint and done and have achieved delivery or release on time, and the client is very much happy about it. The team is celebrating. As a coach, you should be able to join them, be part of the celebrations, be part of their success, and then enjoy with them. Immediately, you won't be left over there. You get a call from an executive asking for an executive meeting to take an important decision at an organization level. At that time, when attending the meeting, you should be the face of the team, the face of the agile transformation. You should not be biased towards the executives or towards the team. You should be a mediator and help the executives and the team arrive at a proper transformation balance. So I hope it is clear like how a coach works in various roles at various levels of the organization. These are the responsibilities of a coach. Apart from this, now comes the processes and tools. Always in Agile, we put people first. People are priority, then comes processes and tools. If you remember the 4 Agile core values, one of the values is this. So how we set up new processes or tweak the existing processes so that they are more in alignment with the Agile values and they deliver better productivity? How the team members use the tools in an efficient way? These things should also be done properly and accordingly to the organization. Now, okay, most of us are aware that agile coaches mentor or coach scrum masters, right? So that is not the only role, but that is one of the roles that agile coach is doing. If you see the previous slide, we understand that. So he is working at a team level now. Team level and individual level. You can say individual level because he's working along with the scrum master, and that's a team level because the scrum master is responsible for the entire team. Okay, so when we're taking the metrics for assessing the performance of a scrum master, what are the things we should be considering as an agile coach? We can take few direct metrics, few indirect metrics. We'll talk about both. There is the transformation cycle time. You can see the sustainability index, team happiness score. These are the direct reflection of the scrum master performance on the team. Let us see one by one. How do you measure the transformation cycle time? Transformation cycle time is a time from which, suppose we say, okay, we give a team to a scrum master and your transformation cycle time starts from now. What is the end goal now? The end goal of the scrum master should be the team should be able to deliver reasonable volume of work. What is reasonable? We'll talk about it. The team should be able to deliver the work consistently for at least 3 sprints. What do you mean by consistent? We'll talk about it. So once the team achieves this, to the time the team achieves this, the entire time is taken as a cycle time. Let us see this with an example to properly understand it. Consider you have a team of 5 members, 3 developers, 2 QA. The expectation is that each developer delivers 2 average size user stories. What is average size? We'll talk about it. So far clear? This is the problem. Like the team consists of 5 team members. We're trying to understand what does reasonable and consistent mean in the agile transformation cycle time. So the team of 5 members with 3 developers, 2 QA, they're doing the testing and the developers doing the coding and all. So each delivering to average size stories per sprint. US means user stories here. So 3 developers into 2 user stories, thus the sprint delivery is 6 user stories. So every sprint the team should be delivering around 6 user stories. Now say average size user story is 5 story points. I hope like since all of you are around Scrum Masters or have some understanding of Scrum, you know what is a story point. So each story value says 5 story points. So 6 stories. What is the velocity of the team? It is 6 into 5, 30 story points is the velocity of the team. So this is the calculation. So now let us understand the terms reasonable and consistent here. So reasonable volume of work, that is greater than or equal to 30 story points is the volume of work, reasonable volume of work for that team to produce. And consistent means they should be able to deliver this work constantly or continuously for 3 sprints. So then we say the team is delivering reasonable volume of work constantly for 3. I've taken example of 2 average size user stories per developer. That is just a theoretical example. Depending on the scenarios and various other factors, it might change. But to understand the transformation cycle, we have taken this example. So say if the team is able to deliver consistently for 3 sprints, means the team can do it for indefinite period of time. they've got into that rhythm. So from the time the Scrum Master gets started with the team to the time the team has achieved this, that is the transformation cycle time. The time required to complete one such transformation is the transformation cycle time. So a good Scrum Master, by using the various techniques that he is already aware of on past experience, tries to implement them in a judicious manner and then achieve this in the shortest cycle time possible. The second one, sustainability index. If any of you are having doubts at any of these points in time, just please make a note of it somewhere, and then towards the end of the session we will revisit or we'll discuss about them.
What is
Sustainability,
this sprint?
not right
Sorry,
now, not right now.
okay.
Just make a note of them. We'll discuss towards the end of this session. Sustainability
Sure,
index.
sure.
Thank you. Sustainability index. Most of you have seen this diagram. Looks familiar. It's nothing but the velocity chart, right? So this is the velocity of a team A for sprint 1, sprint 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. The dark green color shows the committed user stories and the light green shows the completed user stories. So if you observe the trend for sprints 1, 2, and 3, the trend is upward. The team is increasingly delivering the user stories. For the sprints 4 and 5, it is somewhat stable, but still it is more compared to the previous sprint number 3. Now for sprint 6 and 7, something really bad happened. The team was not able to deliver. The team's velocity has fallen down to 6 and 7. In sprint 6 and 7, the team's velocity has fallen down. So from sprint 1 to sprint 5, that is your sustainability index. So the team is able to sustain the same pace or increase the pace for a period of 5 sprints, after which it is crashing. There could be a number of problems. So we'll discuss that not in scope of this session, but there could be different problems. We need to identify them and then fix them one by one. So we need to always focus on the period between sprint 1 to sprint 5 where the team is performing really good and is able to maintain that flow and then always increase the velocity. Team happiness score. This is one metric that will define a Scrum Master. So you can use various techniques for measuring the team happiness score. One technique is popular technique is the typical questionnaire you will circulate to the team, and then you'll ask the team members to answer a questionnaire. On a scale of 1 to 5, you ask the team members to rate each question or each answer on a rate of 1 to 5, each point, and depending on the total or consolidated score, that defines the performance of a Scrum Master. What could be the typical questions in a questionnaire? We'll see that. We can say whether the team members, how happy are the team in the current, how happy are each of the team member in the current team. What is one thing that the team member likes to change the most about the team? You can give 2 or 3 options here if you are already comfortable with. Then depending on the option, you will say for one option you'll give a score of 3, 4, and 5. You can judge it. These are some of the examples where to just get started with your thought process about how you can frame your questions or how others can frame your questions to assess the Scrum Master. So what are the indirect metrics? So indirect metrics, we can use the cycle time and the frequency cycle, release frequency, and the release success rate. So these are the 2 metrics. No, these are not the only 2 metrics. We can use a number of other metrics, but these are the 2 other metrics that we will use The cycle time, again, with the cycle time in this context, we use like, what is the cycle time for a release? Like from the time a user story is entering the product backlog to the time the user story is deployed in production. What is the entire cycle time? There could be n number of things that will be affect the cycle time, but we'll take an average cycle time to decide whether the team is progressing towards a lower cycle time or increased cycle time, and what are the reasons for it. Release frequency and success rate. Release frequency will be how frequently we are able to release and how we are able to stick to the schedule of the releases without any variance. A team, how the team is able to achieve that one, that is the release frequency. And success rate, any release that has been deployed, there are no rollbacks, no performance issues, or no patches or hotfixes given on that release to complete that release, that can be considered as a release success. So these two things can be used as a metric. Now we'll see like how Agile coach works as a teacher, mentor, and coach for a team. Since this is one of his responsibilities, let us see how we can best achieve it. If you see this diagram, this is a concept implemented by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. So this is the person's name is difficult to pronounce, so I'll say Mihai. So this is a concept called flow that has been invented by this psychologist. So on the y-axis, he has taken the challenge. On the x-axis, he has taken the skill. If you see, there is always a proper combination of skill and challenge that keeps us interested in a task. If that challenge level falls towards, if the challenge is not there, the skill level will fall towards boredom. In this area, it will fall. If there is too much of challenge, the person who is doing the task might go into this anxiety level or the stress level. So either of these scenarios is not recommended or not a good place to be in. It is this proper channel that is in between that will keep a person interested. Okay, let me tell you an example here. See, any one of you, don't think about work. Think about something that you have worked maybe over any period of time. You have something that you have started working on. You forget about time, you forget about everything. You are so immersed in it. You spend time, you start working. After some time, you suddenly realize and look at the watch. You have spent 4 hours on it without even taking one single break. At the end of 4 hours, you are not tired also, but you loved what you did for the last 4 hours. Every one of us been in that state of mind, correct? Doing something we like, something, whatever it could be, work or anything else. That is the flow channel or flow state. That should be the state where everyone should be, or we as a scrum master, as an agile coach, should create an environment for the team to be in that state where they will deliver optimum amount of work irrespective of the time. Because if to maintain that environment, we should ensure that there is sufficient challenge and there is sufficient skill with the employee. It's always the employee will be in that state. Let us see how this works. Before we go about there, let us take this example and we will revisit the flow state. Consider two athletes, John and Jack. Both of them have the capacity to run 10 kilometers. That is the maximum capacity. They can't even go 2 feet after that. That is the maximum capacity. So both the athletes training patterns is completely different. John trains 8 kilometers a day, which is around 80% of his capacity, of his entire capacity, from Monday to Saturday. Sunday is a holiday for both the athletes. They'll work from Monday to Saturday, 6 days per week. While Jack, on the other hand, uses a different training sessions. He trains for one day, 10 kilometers a day, which is his peak performance. So since he has already done his peak performance, his body is so sore and so tired, he will not be able to work on the next day. So he will take a break every alternate day. So he will work only 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if we consider the metrics, how much training John has done, 6 days per week into 8 kilometers per day, 48 kilometers John has trained. How much training Jack has done, 30 kilometers, Monday to Wednesday and Friday. So which of this training is effective? Let us see other metrics. If we consider the volume, Jack has covered 48 kilometers while John has covered 48 kilometers while Jack has covered only 30 kilometers. Fitness, who has better fitness? Since John has done more volume of exercise, his fitness is higher by 37.5%, while Jack is low at 37.5%. How long can Jack continue his fitness training session? Theoretically, he can continue indefinitely because he is always working at 80% of his capacity and not draining out the rest 20%. For the next day, he is charging up using that 20% and is again recouping. While Jack, there's high chance that Jack will go at an injury state where he do some temporary or permanent injury to his body. He will not be able to train for a short interval of time. Right now, we have seen that he's training only Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the same reason. So at the end of the training session, if we take a 1 week training session, who has attained mastery over the skill? Obviously, John has put in more volume. So should we never go with intense training? Should we go with consistent training only? No, don't say no to intensity. Intensity is required. What is the proper combination? Use a mix of both the combinations, consistency and intensity. John is training consistently while Jack is training with intensity. So we should use consistency and occasional intensity. Once in a while you increase the spike, do intensive training. That is a path for mastery. So apply this for your teams. They should be on the way for mastery. Now let's revisit the flow channel. 10 kilometers daily, working out for 10 kilometers run and all. It keeps Jack in the anxiety state. It spikes, his body is tired. Next day he is, frankly speaking, is afraid of going for a training because he knows how painful it is. While if you keep only 2 kilometers a day, it is very boring for them. It is too easy for anyone. If you make it too easy, you will not like anything. Keep it around 70 to 80%. That is the optimum challenge, or 80% of the capacity. That is the flow channel level, wherein he is given proper combination of challenge as well as he is kept away from boredom or below from anxiety. So always try to use this channel. Whenever you feel that team is getting bored using the regular practices, give them a challenge. Every 2 or 3 sprints, take an intense sprint. Pair up with the product owner. Give a very tough release, a tough challenge to a team. Not very tough, a tough challenge to the team so that they go in the intense mode. If you observe here, the intensity is, the challenge is falling down. At this point in time, you should be able to assess this point and then increase the intensity. for the team so that they're always in the flow and delivering their best. Let's move on to other topics of discussion now. Velocity, cycle time, burn down chart. At the team level, you will be using this metrics to assess the team. We will not be talking about cycle time, which is again the time for the time required for a user story to get delivered and all. That is out of scope for this discussion. Let's talk about velocity only quickly. Most of your Scrum Masters and aware what is velocity. So people who are little bit new to Scrum or not really confident why the term velocity has been used instead of speed, let us give a quick walkthrough about it. Speed is 60 kilometers per hour, say. As per physics, speed is a scalar. If you add direction to speed, it becomes velocity. So velocity is the vector as per basic physics. So what is the speed? It's a magnitude. It is a value. So what is the team delivering is value, that is 60 story points worth of work, and the team is having proper direction, that is the sprint goal. So that is the velocity of the team. So that is why it is termed as velocity, which is very appropriate in the context of the Scrum or sprints. So every Scrum Master challenge is increase the velocity of the team. Every Scrum Master gets the same challenge. And how we can go about it, how we can achieve this. Consider this. There are teams, tasks, and process. Okay. We will revisit this diagram in short time. How to increase the velocity? The velocity components are effort, the sprint goal, and the process. So we can tweak each or all of these three to get an increased velocity. Before even identifying and implementing something, I'll teach you at least one new concept. Probably most of you might be aware. For those who are not aware, it will be a new concept. One new technique to identify the team's current state. How do you identify it? You can use the technique called Tuckman's model. What is Tuckman's model? So any state that is, any team that is newly formed will go through these 4 phases or 4 stages: forming, storming, norming, and performing. Before they start performing at their optimal levels, every team will pass through these 4 phases. Maybe some teams will take a very short time in each of these phases. Some teams will take a longer time, but the teams will pass. And how do we understand whether team is in which state and all? Let me tell you with an example. Most of you are familiar with cricket and are interested in cricket, I suppose, even though it's not known for it. So forming state, simple, the teams are forming. All the team members are grouped together. The sprint starts, maybe for the first 1 or 2 sprints. The team, suppose the team is starting batting. They will start in the defensive mode, or they will start missing out some of the balls. So that is the forming state. In the storming state, the teams are in total confusion, chaos. If you see the diagram here, it is a run out. So people are having very bad communication. People don't understand. The team members don't understand. They start screaming at each other. They misunderstand, or they don't complete the work because of various reasons. That is the storming state. Next comes the norming state. When the teams start getting into a rhythm, when the communication flow across the team members increases, they understand each other better, they start delivering. The team delivers, may not be very consistently, but the team starts delivering. They start scoring runs. And the performing state, if you see, both the batsmen are in good touch and they're massacring the bowlers. They're hitting sixes, fours everywhere, all around the ground. That is a performing state. So every team according to Tuckman's model will pass all these 4 phases. So as a Scrum Master, we should help the team pass the phase and then learn from it. So once we understand which phase the team is, ideally performing and norming states are the best states to add adjustments to the team's process so that the velocity increases. As an agile coach, you should not be recommending to increase the velocity at forming or storming state. Mostly it will fail. How do you increase the effort? Increasing effort is one of the simple technique. Consider this. There are 5 team members. The original capacity is 6.5 productive hours per day. So we say, okay, we will increase half an hour per team member per day as productive hours. We'll say increase the productive hours from 6.5 to 7 productive hours a day. So total 2.5 extra hours a day for the team. So the team velocity should increase. That's what theory says. But as per my experience, when we worked out with the team, let me tell you how it worked out. This is an very much similar replica of a planning sheet. So this was a planning sheet. If you see all the yellow color ones, you focus on that. Those are the estimates that were given with the original capacity 6.5 hours. This is the original planning sheet. One day, a few estimates with 6 hours, one day. Okay. Now, if we go to the after modifying the estimates, after the took a planning session, we compared the planning sheets. If you observe the planning sheet, there is no 6.5 estimates. It really happened with one of the teams. So there is no estimate with 6.5 hours. Either it's 6 hours or it's one day. One day equal to 7 hours. Now, earlier it was 6.5 hours. So what happened here? The team started unknowingly rounding off. So whatever half an hour we increased, when the team member is giving an estimate for a task, they unknowingly started rounding off to one day, which is 7 hours now. So after implementing this, there are 2 main observations here we had. One was there is no estimate for 6.5 hours. There is no increase in velocity. This was an utter failure. As per my experience, it backfired, in fact. So these are the things, whenever you start implementing something, put keen observation and see how that is creating a change in the team. Is it creating change for the better or it creating a change for the worse? One more technique, using a stretch goal. Simple. You have the team, you have a sprint goal, the team capacity, you do a velocity based planning or a team capacity based planning. They can deliver 10 user stories worth of say 30 story points worth of work every sprint. Say you keep a stretch goal, say 10%, 3 story point, which is a small story, add it to the sprint, but put a small rules like if the team is not able anyone who is picking up the stretch goal should be completing his or her story in the primary goal. Once they complete that, then only they're eligible to touch the stretch goal. This has worked really well with the teams. So the teams, everyone started showing more interest in the stretch goal and working towards it. They completed most of the work of the sprint in less time than the sprint completion. So they always focus. Let me show you the stats here for this in a later slide. So stretch goal really worked wonders for us. We'll discuss more deeply about this later on. Let us move forward now. The other process tweaks that we can do. We can do code review. Code review, I'll tell you one example. This is again a real example that we implemented with one of the code reviews, and it has given wonderful results. I always say never, this is the only solution. This is one of the solutions that worked out. So some organizations it might not work out, for some it could work out very well, for some not. But it again depends on case-to-case basis. So the initial code review process, a typical process wherein the developer will send an email to the code reviewer. He reviews the code, sends the feedback. Developer, if it's a major changes, he will do one more cycle of code review. Does all the implements all the changes, request for one more round of code review. Code. Everyone understands this. But we found that it is taking too much time. We should change something here. We can't eliminate the code review process because that is required. How can we make it better for the team? What we did, code review, we added a QA person in the code review. We clubbed these 3 persons. We asked them to do it in a single shot. The code reviewer, the developer, and the QA will sit in a conference room. The developer will project the code. The developer will project the code, will give a walkthrough of the code, and the code reviewer will give the recommendations, changes, and the QA on the other hand will do static code review or static testing. He will start identifying the areas depending on what the developer is explaining. What are the probable bugs he will identify and point out. The developer will recheck those areas as well. After implementing this, these are the stats. The average code review per user story initially with the emailing process was 2.5 code reviews per user story. After implementing this, it came down to 1.5. It is a significant improvement. It's a very significant improvement. It lost a lot of time saving for a team in a sprint. So revisiting the earlier thing. So what are the areas you can change? You can change. These are the 3 components of velocity: team, task, process. So you can make a change here, or you can increase the effort here, which in my case has backfired, did not work well. The tasks. So we have used the stretch goal concept here, which has worked really well. And the process, we have done a process tweak in the code review. It has shown good results and decent returns. So this is how you should start analyzing the problem. First of all, see whether there is a problem. If there is a problem, you should analyze it and start fixing one problem at a time as a coach.
Sri,
Yes.
I have a question, Sri. Now,
Can you hold on the question for some time? I'll give you an option towards the end of the session for a question and answers segment.
All right, thanks.
So if we translate this, it should be the effort, stretch goal, and the process tweaks. There are other options where you can use the buffer reductions in case you are using any buffer during the sprint planning. We can use additional stories as part of a stretch goal. We can keep increasing the additional stories depending on the team comfort level. Any change you do, give the team some time to settle in that change. So give that time. When you're giving your team a challenge or by doing any of these changes, give them some cooling period of at least 2 or 3 sprints to settle down in that change and then give good results in that change. So once implementing these changes, we have seen 35% increase in velocity within 6 sprints. 35% is significant in terms of a Scrum implementation. The team was delivering these goals consistently. This 35% increase, it's not a spike. It has come for 1 or 2 sprints. Again, it has fallen back to the original value. No. The team was consistently delivering it after 3 sprints also. The team was more focused on the stretch goals without them knowing they are completing the actual sprint goals. That was the original target of the product owner. In fact, in most of the scenarios, they were completing the stretch goals also. As I said, monitor this, not monitoring, it's more of analyzing the results or analyzing the velocity chart. Always focus on this velocity as well as average velocity for the last 2 or 3 sprints, whatever metric you defined previously. Use that metric to see whether it's up upward trend or downward trend or it's changing in spikes. This feedback monitoring and closing cycles is very important. Any adjustments here and there required, you feel like adjustment, as Scrum Master, take that call, do it, and then apply it to all the teams and update the Scrum guidance body. Document this with the results, everything clearly, so that the same can be helpful for other teams without doing the R&D all over again within the organization. So I think for this session, we have come to the end of session. We'll quickly recap what we have learned so far, and then I'll give you a time for a quick question and answer session. As an Agile coach, we have learned what are the challenges. We have learned 2 challenges that we see. We have seen 2 challenges and how we will be overcoming them. As an Agile coach, what are roles and responsibilities at a very high level we have seen. What are the Scrum Master assessment techniques and performance metrics we have seen. Transformation cycle, sustainability index, employment happiness score. These are the direct metrics, and the indirect metrics we have seen the cycle time and the release frequency and success rate. We also seen few coaching techniques, especially the flow and the Tuckman technique. Use these techniques, they'll be really helpful. First, try to understand the technique properly, and then try to use it in a way where you are able to get the best result, like you are able to apply all the concepts. We have seen about velocity, what are the components of velocity, how we can make changes in each of the component, and what are the results we can get out of it by tweaking the processes or stretching the goal. So these are the things that we have learned in this session. I'll give you one bonus tip to remember as an Agile coach. Don't try to solve the problem for the team. Always lead the team towards the solution. Help the team solve the problem for themselves. Let me explain how this works. If you solve the problem for the team, you are telling them you have done all the hard work, you have done all the R&D, and you are telling them, okay, implement this, your problem will be solved. In this case, the team will, in most cases, they will stop thinking, okay, some person will give me a solution, I'll implement it. They'll tend to lose the creativity. Let that not happen. And some team members might not be liking the idea. You will not have the buy-in from the team members. So always these 2 things are important. When the team feels that it's their own idea that's being implemented, you automatically get the team's buy-in. So if you let the team or lead the team towards this solution, the team will feel, the team will own the idea. Okay, this is my idea, this is our idea. You will get the team buy-in. They will implement it with their full heart. And as a coach, as a team, both will succeed. I'll give you one challenge. It's not an assignment. I'll give you one challenge. So as we learned Tuckman's model in this, use the Tuckman's model. Team is in norming state, say. So the team is delivering currently at velocity X, say 30, 40, 50 story points. Now, as a coach or as a Scrum Master, how will you make it implement twice the amount of work, or you double the velocity, team's velocity within 3 sprints? I'm sorry. Within 3 sprints, how do you double the team's velocity? So there's no direct or single solution for this. Each one of you can use different creative techniques or a past experience, you can use this. You can lay down. It's not a one-liner answer. It's more of an elaborate process or strategy that you will be applying to the team to take them to this new benchmark. So I'll give you as a challenge. You start working on it. Probably once we meet again, you can come up with your experience, how we have worked out a solution. Thanks, guys. You guys have been quite a good audience, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Trini. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Srini,
Bye-bye.
for that patient answer.
Thanks, Srini.
Thanks, Srini.
Thanks for watching. For more videos, subscribe our channel and click on bell icon.